Hey, Auntie.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, this is Paige Means Hopper, and you have hit the We Are Your Aunties show, where you can tell us anything, but there's a way to say everything. And tonight is super special. Let me tell you how special it is. We didn't even know this show was happening until just a few hours ago. And so we're super excited to have our special guest tonight. We've got our regular aunties here, your favorite auntie Rosemary and your favorite auntie Genoa. And we've got DY in the background on the ones and twos doing his thing. And normally what we do is I will go ahead and introduce myself and then introduce the guest and then go into a reading and talk about the historical and the current cultural context and what we might do about the wounds. But tonight is going to be all about honoring the hearts of Black fathers. And once I knew that that was going to be the topic, there was only one man for the job. And that is my brother and my friend, Carlton C. Booker. He is amazing. He will never say this, so I'm going to say all the things because he wouldn't say it. But I'll tell you, I mean, I called him at the last minute, and this shows the content of his character. He's here. And so who we have tonight is truly a man with the heart of a Black father. He is a husband for more than 4 decades?
46 years.
Man,
Praise the Lord.
And you cannot tell me anything.
Give God the glory.
That give all the glory, right?
I was in that knucklehead club, and I was member and president. So
we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. He is the father of 2, one of whom is in heaven now. He's a grandfather. He's an author. He's a man of God, and he's the co-founder of an organization, a business, a company called Married Couples Coaching Couples. And you can find them on Facebook. And the subtitle of that book is, or that organization is Getting Past the Affair. He's the author of at least 7 books, more than half a dozen books. Most recently, he co-authored a book with his wife, Angela Booker. Hi, Angela. Titled, I Love You, But Sorry Is Not Enough. The compact manual for the unfaithful and how to forgive after infidelity. And that is such the short bio on this man. He's going to tell you a lot more about him, like he just told you. He's going to talk about his knucklehead days. And so we want to know all of it. We want to know about the knucklehead days, what it took to unknuckle yourself, and all the things.
I know you didn't just say that.
All the things.
I gotta look at that one up.
Oh, you won't find it. You won't find it. Only here on We Are Your Aunties. So, Carlton, I want to just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and say anything that's on your mind about, being here, about whatever. It's all your floor.
Well, I am truly honored for my sister inviting me, and to the ladies on the panel. I'm not one to be in front, but when my sister called, I am going to ring the bell for my sister. We just love them so much, and whatever you do, we can be here to help them. I'm just here to answer any questions or tell you about my story, and I hope you guys got your seatbelt on, because you better be able to sit tight and hold on tight. It might be a bumpy ride tonight.
That's okay. That's okay. We're used to a bumpy ride.
Okay.
So I think I will go ahead and start. I'm being led to start with a section in my book. It's Healing the Wounds of American Slavery. And I'm going to start on page 113. It is my love letter to Black men.
All right.
Okay. So here we go. 113. For those of you who have the book, for those of you who don't, you will. And so I say, we can lower the music just a taste. DY, can you lower the music just a taste? Thank you. I say, dear Black man, we need you, but we need you in your strongest and most natural state. Please do not reject, abandon, or shame us when we tell you what we need that only you can provide. No shade to other men, but there's something special in you that you were born to share with us. Please remember that you were born to protect and provide for Black women, your mother, wife, daughter, your sister, your cousins and aunties, sweetheart, your friends, neighbors. We need your protection and provision. And that is why we crave your irreplaceable presence. Your love cannot be replaced by money. We need you. Your love cannot be replaced by education. We need you. Your love cannot be replaced by prestige or accomplishments. We need you. There's an empty space in the souls of Black women that can only be filled by your magnificent presence in our lives. Black fathers, brothers, male cousins, friends, neighbors, we urgently long for you to reclaim your rightful throne. There are plenty of Black men standing for us and with us, and we love you, thank you, and appreciate you. But Black men, there are too many of you who are not. Do you know how much it hurts us when we need you and you are not there? It hurts just as much as when you want desperately to provide for and protect us, and your hands are tied by circumstances. Feels hopeless and helpless, doesn't it? Be strengthened by our love. Brothers, be empowered by our standing with you. Be empowered by your new awakening. Be comforted by our presence. We believe in you. We miss you. We are pulling for your recovery of strength and confidence. We need you. And we know you are fighting to make your way back to us whole. So there's an accompanying letter to Black women, but that is not for this show. We're here to talk about Black men in general, Black fathers specifically. And I honestly believe that the reason the Holy Spirit chose you to be here, Carlton, is because I have watched your walk for many years. Some of it up close, some of it from a bit of a distance. But you have done it, brother, in a more incredible way than I've seen the majority of men that I know. Your name came up first.
Oh, praise God. I'm honored.
I'm honored that you're here. So why don't you just give us a little bit of background? Tell us, how you and your wife met, and take us through the 46 years in a snapshot. Now I know there's a whole lot in that, but you're the man, and I know you can do it.
So I'll give you the elevator version. But I was in Northern California, and my wife was in Southern California. My father lives in Southern California, so I went out there for a holiday. And they had garage parties at that time. That's what you used to do. And I went to a garage party, and there happened to be two Carltons in this party who my wife wanted to dance with. She kind of liked this guy, the other Carlton in the party. Well, I just so happened to be there, and I just happened to kind of moved on the other Carlton. And hey, 46 years later, it's like it was hooked, done. And so that's how it started. It was two Carltons in the party. I just kind of stepped up and said, "Hey, you want to dance?" And she didn't know me, but my name was Carlton. She was looking for a Carlton, just the wrong Carlton.
And that's no coincidence.
So the next day, we went out to lunch, and I didn't recognize her because she had a wig on. You can wear ponytails, and I was somewhat surprised. But she was, she was different, and And I knew this was my wife because I went to. Look, I'm from Oakland, okay, just say no more than that.
Right.
But she's asked me to come to lunch one day at her house. I'm going like, oh, lunch, okay. It's gonna be that type of lunch. It's gonna be that type of lunch. So she's in the kitchen. I'm taking off my clothes.
Oh my God! No.
And I'm thinking it's gonna be like a nooner because so like I'm taking off my clothes. Someone asked me to come to lunch at that time. It's like, okay, we know. We end up having peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I'm like,
that was the extent of your afternoon delight.
Yeah, okay. I respect that. That was new to me, and that she had character and integrity, and that kind of said, you know what, she's different. And so we dated for about a year, and I just we got married very young. I was married at 18. My wife was married at she was 20. We got married, and we was crazy young adults. I was working in a warehouse at one time, and I drove a truck, and I was going to school full time. I was carrying 15 units going to school full time and daytime, and working at night driving a truck. And I bought my first home at 21, and then I just felt I just always felt that I could do more, and so I got accepted at California Baptist College and finished there at California Baptist College. And believe me, when I got to California Baptist College, they thought that I was there for being a preacher. Everybody thought, they said, "Are you here to be a pastor?" Go, I'm about to. No, I was cuss them out when I said that point. So I was a straight heathen at the time. I was a heathen. I was straight heathen at a Baptist college. Really. The first class I had was New Testament. The first class I had, you had to take Old Testament. And I remember sitting in the class, and she goes, "Open up the book of Genesis." And I raised my hands up, like, "Where is Genesis at?" We had a Bible sitting in the living room table. Nobody opened it up. Right. So, I was, she goes, "You don't know where Genesis is at?" I said, "No, I don't know where Genesis, the book of Genesis is at. It's the first page, church chapter of the Bible." Go like, "Oh, okay."
So you blew you blew the dust off and
I blew the dust off. So I started reading it, and they thought I was there to be a pastor. No way I was to be a pastor at all in my entire life. I was straight heathen. I was in the enemy camp. I was an enemy lieutenant, or maybe a general captain, whatever you want to write. But I was marching on that path. And so I just so I went to California Baptist College and just wanted to get better in my family. And this is what made me change my whole life. My wife was working at this was a life. You ever had one of those life-changing moments? And this is one of those aha moments.
Yes.
My wife was working at the school district, and she said, "Why don't you go apply for the school district as a janitor?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go apply for a janitor." So I go apply for a janitor, and it was a brother who was the human resource manager.
Wow.
I applied for the janitor job, and he told me this. He says, "You don't qualify to be a janitor." I'm going like, "I don't qualify to be a janitor?" What? And that aha moment is when I said, I said, "You know what? If I can't qualify to be a janitor, how am I going to supply this? I'm going to take care of my family." I left that department and went right over to went right down to the college down the street, Riverside City College, and enrolled in the school. And I never looked back. And that was the best thing he ever did to me, because if I would have got that janitor job, I probably would have never left. But it was the best thing he ever done for me to say,
So you didn't know where the book of Genesis was.
No, I didn't.
You didn't qualify to be a janitor.
I did not.
And yet you were married.
I was married.
And how long was it before you had your first child?
4 years later.
4 years later.
Yeah,
so a lot happened between that not being qualified to be a janitor and that first child.
Our first baby, Erica, was our first baby girl, and it was it was challenging of some sort, because I came from a single parent mother on welfare in Oakland. And so my wife came from the Lever, Cleaver, Beaver kind of household. I came from Good Times. She came from Lever to Beaver. and so her mother, father had been married for like ages. I mean, I remember the first time came to her house to eat. She asked me if I want a New York steak. I'm going like we came up all we eating chicken. She asked me if I want a New York steak. I said, y'all going all the way to New York to get a steak? So, I mean, I tell you how ignorant I was. I mean, like, y'all going all the way to New York. I didn't know what New York steak was. We didn't have steak in our household. All we ate was chicken. That's all we ate was chicken and drumsticks. And today I don't eat any drumstick. I don't care. I'm starving. I would not eat a drumstick. It just brings me back. It brings me back.
Yeah.
You know, but they were eating good. Their mom and dad was at the home. He's a retired Air Force. And I'm coming to this house, and I had this big natural, huge natural. And then people I was coming on a motorcycle, and people, my father-in-law, like, who in the world is brother coming up here? But
so that was their first impression of you. My
first impression was hard. It was hard, but I do have to say one thing about my in-laws. My father-in-law. My father lives in Riverside, but my mother and father were divorced very early in life. But it was my father-in-law who showed me love. It was my father-in-law who showed me how to love my wife. My father-in-law was just by seeing him and his wife, how he acted with his wife. I mean, who holds hands in the house watching TV?
Wow.
Who hold hands while they're walking down the street?
We do.
I mean, it's just like, it was just so corny to the point, like, who does this?
We're corny.
But that was the love part. And I still tell them today that if it wasn't for my father-in-law, I would never knew what love was.
So he demonstrated to you not only the love for his wife or the love for your wife through his love for his, but he also, it seems like he demonstrated fatherhood to you in a sense. He did.
He's really more of a father than my real father. I love my father. My father-in-law is the one who really kind of grew me up in responsibilities.
Isn't that interesting?
I find
I'm the first son in the family. So
in your own family or in your own family or your wife's family?
In my wife's family. I'm the only son.
Okay.
I'm the first son.
Wow.
Well, she got a sister, but I was the first one in the family in a sense. And so I was his first son. I was his first son. And so
God sent you a mentor.
Yes.
He sent you a mentor.
We need more of that too in our community.
Yeah, so he was the one that really showed me what love was all about. Because hey, I was in my flesh. Hey, you look good. I'm marrying you. But I was in my flesh. Really. I mean, we get to understand that love is not all that, and that's just mature. We men are we look by eyes. That's what we look at. We look at the beauty part of it, but there's a deeper core that we have to go to understand that it's more than just beauty. It's more to that, and it's the hearts, it's the feeling, it's all of those things that we have to incorporate. It's like a beautiful picture, and then, but there's something missing of that picture. It's not complete.
So tell me, Carlton, how did it change you when you started having your children? Because we get the transition that's happening from, back when you went to school and when you first came into the family. Now her dad's taking you under his wing. Now 4 years transpire. Now you've got your first baby. And how long was it between your first and second child?
4 years.
Oh, wow. And even 4. So what
Listen,
was that
every time we went on vacation, someone got pregnant. So I mean, my kids are 4 years apart, 2 days apart, same month.
Wow. So was it your anniversary month or
vacation?
Oh, just vacation, just whatever vacation that was. The baby was coming.
Baby's coming.
So how did you
taking vacations?
How did you two manage when you first started having your children? I mean, as they're babies, they're like not sleeping through the night. You're newlywed. Well, you're 4 years in, but you're still learning each other. So how did you incorporate all of that as a father?
Well, I know my wife was more of the mother and nurturer. I was kind of come home, do the work, get the job, bring home the money and things like that. And raising the babies, and it was mostly my wife was doing that because I was working, going to school and working at the same time. So it was kind of hard to do a lot of that. But my wife was mostly the one that was taking care of the babies at home.
Got it.
At point in time. Because I was, because I was just trying to pursue us getting better as a family. So
got it. And that's what a man does.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be, I told people, especially as men, that we have to be our CEO of our family, not CEO, but ministers of our family. And we got to sit back and look at like, where are we going? Where are we going with this? If my wife is complaining that she can't go to vacation, she can't do this, I can only be responsible for that, because if we can't do the things we can't do, I can't blame society. I can't blame the white man. I can't blame this and this. I have to look at myself. I have to take my responsibility in this role. So if I'm not providing for my family, I need to change. I need to do something about that. And so there's times that, my wife is like, you are crazy. I'm just always been somewhat of an entrepreneur by heart. My wife is one of these, hey, I want to check every week. I get it.
Benefits.
I understand that, but we had, at one point in time, we had a real estate business up in the Bay Area, and it was a successful real estate business. And sometimes you always have something that always happens to you to kind of wake up. We get comfortable in our position, and we had one of those days where everybody bring you to the boardroom, like, oh, boardroom. Everybody comes to the boardroom. I remember sitting in the boardroom and they're sitting there saying, today's your last day. We are, everybody's been laid off. The feeling I felt when they said that was a feeling of failure. Failure to the highest point of me failing my family.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my question, because there's females. You're obviously a very good man, good husband, and everything. And these females were still kind of wild. What did it take for you guys to be on the same page? Like, because they complain, oh, he works too much, and we don't get to spend any time and everything. But I know in order to be able to navigate what you're talking about, you guys had to, at some point, come together and be on a page together so you can make it.
Right. And not just the husband and the wife, but incorporating the whole family. Great question.
That's a great question. We are a team. I told my wife was making a whole lot more money than I was making at the time. And we are a team. It don't matter who hits the last shot to win the game. It don't. Because if she wins, we both win. We all win. And so we there's no individuality in marriage. We are one. And we get this individuality, like, I got mine, you got yours, and this or that. We don't live that way. It's all comes under one house, one rule, one house, one bank account. My wife, she has her own money. I don't, she does what she wants to do, but we've never been in that position where we're separate. We are one, and we try to be as much of the team as we can, and it's all about winning, and we want to win. And so it's like when you have issues. I can go back to just like the Warriors for the first year they had issues, and the Warriors had a fight, and there was dissension in the group. And where were they at? They never won. It was a whole division in the group. And that's what happens in their marriage, that you can have a dissension in your own team. And it never works that way.
So as an entrepreneur, we know that entrepreneurs have extremely busy lifestyles.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one, I know.
Yeah.
So I want to know, since we're honoring fathers and we're really talking about the heart of a father here tonight, I want to know how you bonded with your children, given that busy lifestyle. And that's on the tail of the myth, right? That Black men don't bond with their children, that Black men don't take good care of their children. It's interesting. DY and I were putting together some materials, and we were in the Canva program, which is, design. So it has certain photos and certain designs. And so we put in, just Black men, or no, we put in Black fathers. That's what we put in, Black fathers. And up pops all these photos. And they were real photos, not just models, right? Not just actors. They were real photos of Black men hugging, nurturing, loving, being there for their children. And so that's my question for all of the men who may be listening, and definitely for the women who are wanting to be engaged and wanting to, enter into marriage and form families. How do you find that time, no matter what you do? If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a professional, if you're a janitor, since we talked about that, no matter what you're doing, how do you find that time, and what does that look like to bond with your children? Because I know you have a great bond.
You have to make it a priority. Just like business, just like in things in business are priority, you got to make your family a priority. And so there's times that I set many times where we're going places, we're doing things, it's a family event. I mean, I remember we taking our whole family to Hawaii. I mean, we're talking about grown, my family who are grown adults, going to family, and people going like, why are you taking your grown adults to family? Because they're family. I want to bring them with us. It's a family vacation.
Wow.
And so, we always seem to be, with our kids, we're always active with the kids, doing things with the kids, very active. And I see that even with my son right now. I see my son doing the same thing. They're in everything they can do, everything. My kids are in everything. They're doing everything. So we have to make it a priority, because what is our job my job as a father is to make sure that you can provide for your family when you get adults.
Wow. That's really good.
I remember one time I told my son, he didn't, after he got graduated from school, he was just wanting to play a video game. I says, my job to make sure you're not selling oranges and strawberries on the side of the road.
And you look at them just like that, huh?
Oranges and strawberries.
Now you're gonna remember that when you go past somebody playing orange and strawberries.
Here in LA, but
is it real? That's my job. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to be that way. I don't want you doing that. So you got to have a plan. You got to have a purpose. My job is to help you, drive you through that purpose. That's what I'm here for. My here is to get you on the right track, not the wrong track. And so my son, who didn't go to school, he came to work for me. He came to work with me. So we guided him where he's not wearing saggy pants on his butt. He had to wear a suit and tie every day. He had to report to work every day. And so these are things that we're talking about. And even as a kid, even as kids that, when they used to say, I want to quit. No, you're not going to quit. No, you don't quit. So we're trying to build integrity. We're trying to build, you stick with it. I mean, we can always quit. We can always quit on things.
Yeah.
And then so, be placed on time. All those smaller things that we see in the workforce that sometimes have people struggling in the workforce. And that's so really those are things that we have to be as fathers. I want my son to be better than what we did. I wanted to be above what we went on and beyond. And I have truly invested in our kids to the point where we lay our life down for them. We need to.
That's powerful. You know what? I don't want to skip by something you said. It was just so incredible. And if you blinked, you missed it. You said that you went on a family vacation, and this was with your adult children.
Adult children. Everybody said, why are you doing that?
Here's what's powerful about that, though. The fact that adult children wanted to go on vacation with their parents and spend that time speaks volumes about the way that they were raised. I want to turn this to the aunties just for a second. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that. I have to go back to when you were saying that your father-in-law embraced you. Because I always find that interesting, because especially that generation that wasn't the loving, and not saying all, but from my experience that that generation wasn't the loving most, and so he embraced you, and I'm wondering how we can verbalize that for this generation, because I remember growing up, and when we went to the movies, it was a bunch of us, and especially guys, they kind of like sat in different seats separate. They never got together, they never hugged, they never said I love you. And actually, when I met my husband, he embraced that other men. He's like, I love you, brother, and I was like, whoa, I thought I was very impressed with that. So with him embracing you, how did that make you feel? And I'm seeing, and I know you passed it on, but I just want you to verbalize it for this generation. To it's okay to say I love you, brother.
That's good.
It's my father was an amazing guy. We think we listen to the world that your in-laws should be your enemy.
Right.
And they're not your enemy. They're not your enemy. This is your wife, father. And we have to honor my wife, father and mother. And so we live literally 1 mile apart from my father and his father. And at no time they knew what was going on in our household. But there were times that, at any time you always have fights and stuff like that. But my father and mother-in-law never got in our business. Never in time that, I was disrespectful for their family at all. And I think it comes down to honor and respect. Where we miss that. Here's a man that, been around the world, and he gave me wisdom that I'd never had wisdom before. I mean, the wisdom, and I took the wisdom to the point where, like, this is I'm getting a free counseling session. I don't even have to pay for this right now.
Right.
And so he just gave me a lot of wisdom, and I never knew what a family was until I saw their family. And I tease my wife about being, the white picket fence type of family. I call them, the huckleberries or whatever but they were a family, and I didn't come from a family. I came from a dysfunctional family where police knock on the door every day, and so it was refreshing to see a man hug his wife and tells his wife he loves him, and to the affection of the outward affection it was like I'm in Disney World or something. Who does this? But it was refreshing, and I learned that even from my wife used to come up and hug me and snuggle me, and we're like,
Aww.
Like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
What are you doing? You weren't used to it.
I wasn't used to it, so you have to get accustomed to it and understand that that's who they was raised. They was raised affection like that.
Yeah, but that's so powerful that that Rose pointed out is such a key element in rebuilding our community, is that there are a lot of fathers who are present, but then there are also a lot of fathers who are absent. And in the absence of our fathers, we can still have mentors who are father figures that can fill in the gap. And even though, we'll have some things that follow us, right, because of our upbringing and that need to be corrected. And so that might take a while, but if there's someone there with their hand on our life, kind of guiding us through.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
My father-in-law gave me my first down payment for my house.
Wow.
That's awesome.
A whopping $2,500.
Hey.
Wow.
He gave me my first down payment.
I want to interject in here because you said something else when you were talking about your son and because a lot of these young people, they play video games and they follow social media and society with this casual. Even if they have something that looks dressy, they'll have some tennis shoes on. And I like the fact that that you made your son dress up, and he had to really be dressed. And the thing is, when you have these single families with the mothers, the sons and daughters, they need their Black father to be able to speak into their life. Because one thing, even with between my dad and my mom, when I was growing up, my mom, she can fuss and go on and woo, 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 and everything. And we know when we wait until she get to that point where, I better do it the right thing. But my dad, when he spoke one time, we got some act right real quick. And the thing is, these young people with these video games, because even my son like to play video games. I said, if you're gonna play video games, why don't you get a job where they pay you to beat the game?
Why don't you take some coding classes and learn how to produce your own game?
This was back in the day when my son was younger.
Somebody was making those games.
But the thing is, what I like is, as his father, just because stuff got hard, you didn't let him quit, and you didn't let him just do what he wanted to do. You were still, it showed that strength, guiding him where you was trying to get him to, so he could be able to provide for himself once he became an adult.
That's good.
People don't have that.
My son is an amazing father.
Yeah,
literally. He's an amazing father. And I see how he interacts with his kids, and I wish I was the best. I wish I was a father like he was. My son was. He's very, very affectionate of his kids, very involved. He's an amazing father. It really is. I'm so proud of him, and every time we see each other, we give each other a kiss.
Oh,
that's wonderful.
So you got the affection.
I wanted to bring up something. When you mentioned you made your son dress up, and I think that is so important. I remember we were mentoring our godsons, and they all were supposed to wear suits. So everywhere they went, we went to dinner, we went to church, we had a suit on, and we were sitting eating dinner. And then all of a sudden, people came up to us, Black people too, and said, "Hey, what is going on? What are you going to?" We just say, "We're eating dinner," but you all dressed up, and it's really important, because a lot of young men don't even own a suit, because I noticed that when we was going to these funerals back to back, where we had to literally, just buy a suit and get a suit, and they look at
and the ones that had to seal the tags on them.
And still the tags. And you know what? People treat you differently than when you're wearing a suit as a man. They do.
Yes.
They treat you with as though you have some authority.
Yeah. Some respect. When they said first impression leaves the last impression, that is true.
It's true.
That is so true.
True.
And so we was doing business. You want to be professional. What does it look like you with a polo shirt, your pants down to your knees?
I know.
What does that look like? What did I say? What did I say about you? So it was really an easy change to continue, because I wanted him to be professional because the world's got to. If you want to be in this world, it's got to be a professional world. And he's truly a professional. That's what he does for a living. But
that is awesome.
You have to start from. You got to start from there. So.
You tell him his Auntie Paige is proud of him too. If he doesn't watch this, he'll probably watch the replay. I'm really proud of you.
But you know what? Your son is who he is because you became who you are.
That's right. Yeah. You did the work. It may have been rough from where you came from, but you did the work. Janelle brought up a good point about, and you started it, and then she asked the question about determination. We had to, now I don't have my own biological children, but I have thousands of children, if you know what I mean. But I don't have to be there 24/7, and there's a huge difference. So my in-laws, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, asked us to come and watch their babies. They're not really babies now. They're 5 and 7. I still say they're babies. And they asked us to watch them for 3 straight days, like overnight without their parents there. And this was the first time for this, right? And so we packed up and we went to go do it, because that's what family does, right? They needed us, we went. And so the first 2, well, actually we stayed 4 nights. The third night we stayed, the little boy, he's 7, he runs track. He's very good. He's going to Junior Olympics, by the way, I believe. And he caught a cramp or something in his leg, and he was literally like limping around. He wasn't kidding. It started like the night before, and he was limping around, no kidding. But our job was to get them up, give them breakfast, get them dressed, and get them ready to be picked up for school. Well, this morning he was just really struggling. And so we were all at the breakfast table except for him. And finally, he limps his way in to breakfast and he doesn't want to go to school. Well, I got his dad on the phone because, hey, we need some advice here. We know our job, but we're not able to do our job because we're kind of stuck in neutral here. And which was really hard for me because I don't like being stuck in neutral, but he's a kid. So he finally makes it to the table and everything. We get his dad on the line and we're like, what should we do? He said, get him dressed.
Yeah.
And so we got him dressed. And his mom and dad are on their way into the airport at this point. And when dad got there, oh, you're going to school. And so, let's go ahead and stretch you out, massage your leg, do what we need to do. But at the end of the day, I'm teaching you determination.
Right.
I'm teaching you not to quit. I'm teaching you not to let obstacles get in your way. And let me tell you something. Not only did it teach him a lesson, it taught me a lesson. Right? To push through and the people around us to, don't give in. Don't be that codependent person to say, well, we'll just let it slide this time or whatever. It was a demonstration of what you did with your son. And I believe that whether you're a father or not, if you're a Black man in the village, in the community, then it would behoove us to take on that responsibility for our young boys so that they grow up into that, as your son is growing up into the professionalism and I'm sure a great work ethic and all of those things.
Yeah. I mean, it's about, I talk to people all the time and you can see you probably know these people who are just late every time. They're late to everything.
I can't.
And I always ask them, were you always late in high school? And they go, yeah, I was always late in high school. It became chronic. So now it's chronic in their job and they're just trying their life that they can never be on time. They're late to everything because no one said, hey, get up early, get yourself together, go to work, get to come on time. Nobody said that to them.
Yeah.
And so it became their whole life. I mean, working in the world to come in, you supposed to work at 6 o'clock at 6:01 or 6:01. You're late.
Yeah.
And so you see patterns of people doing these things and continue doing these things, and you wonder why they're having problems getting employed and having problems at work and having issues and problems because we know, Paige, a lot of these things that we're dealing with all comes from my childhood.
Yeah.
They all stem from my childhood.
Yeah.
And so, the problems I've had, the issues I've had, all the things come from my childhood. And until you realize and see what is, these are symptoms of a main problem.
Okay.
What is what these symptoms? These symptoms are going, I need to get to the root of the issue. What is the problems I'm dealing with? So.
Yeah. You know what I also discovered too, and then I'm gonna throw it back to the aunties. What I discovered too in my research for the book is in discussing like generational behavioral patterns and all of those things and how a lot of that does lead back to slavery. A lot of us, once we were emancipated, we went to work very, very hard to try to reestablish ourselves and figure out, family, because family had been broken down and the structure had been broken down to a degree where we really didn't understand these things. We had to like rebuild. But the other part too is that what I've noticed in this generation, and I've heard it even in our generation and all the generations really, is, I'm not going to work like a slave. Slavery is over. Haven't you heard that before? Like, I'm not going to do this, that, and the other thing, even though it's in my job description, even though it's an expectation of the position that I have, there's just this innate built-in philosophy or illogic or whatever it is. This behavioral pattern is what it is, that I'm just, slavery is over. I will never have another master. I will never, work like that again, even though you never worked like that in the first place. It was our ancestors that worked like that. But it's something in the DNA that causes that too. So that you were able to, you and your father-in-law together were able to turn that around such that you cut it off before it got to your son and his son, who, by the way, is absolutely gorgeous and so smart. But yeah, that you were able to turn that around. And I wanted to know from the aunties, as we're coming into the last 15 minutes of our show, I wanted to find out a little bit about, since we're honoring fathers, right? We're honoring Black fathers. First, I will start off by very briefly honoring my own father. My father was not the best father. He just wasn't. He tried hard considering where he came from, but he just wasn't the best father. But I honor my father for doing the very best that he could with what he had. And so, he's not here anymore. He left us in 2018, but I have since learned who his father was. I didn't know who his father was. I never met his father. My grandfather on my father's side, never met him. But I did have a master genealogist friend of mine discover for me, some paperwork that helped me learn more about who he was. And then when I found out what my father came from, I understood a lot more about why he was not even able to bond with us. And he really, really tried, but he couldn't do it. So I just wanted to give both Auntie Genoa and Auntie Rosemary, it doesn't have to be your own father, a mentor, or anyone in your life who was there for you in that special way or wasn't there, whatever comments you want to make, I'm going to open it up to.
You know what? I want to say, I have to, go with, but, I understand your position and, your father, and the same thing with mine. Your father was an alcoholic. He, but then I saw the conditions that he was working and living under, where the police can just walk in your door. And even though he was living in projects, they just came in and took him out, and out of his own home. So a lot of the dignity and pride was taken away. So and I guess he thought he could find some happiness in the bottle, and it just never happened. I mean, on his death certificate, it said chronic alcoholism was the cause of death. But what I want to flip this side, his brother, my uncle, he was, I love you, Rose, and ain't nothing you can do about it. My uncle was the man. And without him, I wouldn't have had that some sense of a father being close and that male figure that we all need. We all, no matter what. So on the flip side, my uncle was that person, and he's gone now, both of them gone. But I have him to say, okay, he was my favorite uncle. He wasn't my only one, but he was my favorite one.
I love that. I had an uncle like that too. Thank God. Auntie Genoa?
Well, I'm going to honor my own father. My mother and my father, they married young. They were two teenagers that got married because I happened and everything. And we had like a idyllic life, I should say. When I remember being a kid before the divorce, I used to wake up and they would be singing to each other. They had these really nice. They'd be singing through you see the cartoons where the men and the women are singing. Well, my mother and father used to sing love songs to each other and everything. And I had aunts and uncles around and everything. And my father, he worked really hard to provide nice things for us. I remember my mother driving us to his job, and he would come out with his work clothes on because he worked at a paper mill. And him and my mother would talk, and then he would hand her hand her his check, and he would kiss her, and he would come to the car and speak, and then he would ruffle our heads, and then we would leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After the divorce, things kind of changed a little bit, and because of all the strife from divorce, I became parent deaf. But my dad was always around, and he was always doing some stuff for us. Because I remember even when I was little and we needed clean clothes to the laundromat, my mother didn't go to the laundromat on a regular basis. My dad worked his full shift, and he would come to the house, get all our clothes, stay up all night washing, and when we got up in the morning time, it was clean clothes for us to wear to school. He was about education, everything. Now he wasn't like the touchy-feely dad. He hug us and tell us we love him, but it wasn't like a whole bunch of affection. But I knew that my father loved us. And he wanted the best for us. It's just intervening circumstances, because once divorce happens, it's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And my dad told me one thing since I've been grown. He said God gave him all this stuff to give out to his children. He was hampered and unable to give everything out. So I could understand that, but I love my dad. He's a great father.
Yeah.
Well, my father's still living in Riverside, and I remember like it was yesterday. He was talking to me. I was 32 years old, and he was talking to me, and he said, "I love you."
Wow.
I literally flipped off the floor. My father never, ever said he loved me. And it was a life-changing moment for me.
Wow.
And that point there, really, I embraced it to the point where I never forgot it. And I was going to tell my son the same thing. And so we have to be like those men that we are, because we're raising men up, but we are sensitive. Men are sensitive. We're just not consistent. We do cry, but just not consistent as women do. But there is a sensitivity side to us, and so we're not always hard. And we get the thing like, we learn to be like, be a man and all that kind of stuff. That's garbage. That's just the world version of it. That's not really being a man. Being a man is opening your heart, understanding how to love someone, respecting and honoring people, and embracing people and empowering people. That's what a man's supposed to do. That's what men supposed to be doing. And so, it's not all about, this up here, how strong you are and how much you can make and how much authority and power you have and how much is in front of your name or back of your name. That doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. It doesn't mean zero. And I've learned to, I had it. I had cars, buses, and trains. Really, I had it all. And it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Do I have intimate relationship with people that I can share my life with, that I bring into my inner circle, that I have a long-term relationship with? If you don't have that, if you don't have relationships, there's no price for that. There's no price for that. I met millionaires who are just still, even with all the money in the world, they're still lonely. They're still lonely. And so we as men, we have to see what is it, what is the most important thing. I said, my daughter passed away in 2008. And at one point in my life, I wasn't the best father in the world. And so she could have easily said on her deathbed, "F you, Dad." Here she was on her deathbed. And so her last word to me was, "I love you, Dad." And yes, I've done some things in my life, but I got it corrected. I corrected it. I corrected it. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be peacemakers as fathers, as parents. We're supposed to be peacemakers, not hell raisers. And and so I've lived I've been to places where I lived where family were all hell raisers. And so and there's still people in my family who still are hell raisers. But you know what? They're not in my inner circle. They're my family, but I don't associate with them. And so we have to make determined of being protective of my tribe, and that considers my son, his family, my family. That's what the tribe supposed to do. Supposed to protect each other, and we still could be living our life like that. So that's fine.
That's so powerful, brother. That is so powerful, and I was watching a video. I think it was a TikTok video or something. And this little boy, he was just acting out, and it was his mom and him only. And he was just acting a zip dang fool. And she was trying to get him to go to bed. And he just all in her face and wriggling around and stomping around. And you could see his dad coming around the corner. and he just doesn't see his dad coming behind him, and he's just in his mom's face, just carrying on. And I'm not gonna go to bed. You can't make me bloody naughty naughty now. And his father just said, "Hey," and that boy jumped in that bed so fast without a word. He looked like a cartoon. He jumped in that bed so fast. And there's just something about the bass and the voice of a father, and particularly a Black father,
right?
That cares, though. It's not about fear. It's about respect,
right?
And it just sounds like that's what you established within your tribe, within your family, because there is that imparting, like, I'm gonna put the fear of God in you. Come over here and let me do whatever to you to abuse you into submission. But then there's also just that respect level that would have, your daughter's last words be to you, that Dad, I love you.
Wow.
In spite of whatever occurred prior.
Yeah.
So
we have to, we have, especially as men, we have to say, sometimes I messed up. Will you forgive me? I'm not perfect. That's where we have to. I mean, to your children. See, we think that because we come from the old school that I am the authority one, and I'm just, you do what I say. That's it. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. We're not perfect people, and we get it. We mess up. We fail, and it's okay to share that with with your kids. Hey, there's areas of my life I messed up. Will you forgive me? Will you forgive me? And so we have to be that way. We have to share that way. And we walk around like we have to be this proud man, and we got to be all this strong and all this bravado. That's crap. That's TV. That's Hollywood. That's not a man.
Yeah, you don't hear that every day, that a man would first of all, admit his mistake, and then be willing to just ask for forgiveness and reset and restart. So we're going to go ahead and wind up. I told you this hour just goes.
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you so much for being here, especially on such ridiculously short notice, and for showing up so powerfully for us tonight, and leaving us with nuggets and things to think about and meditate on, and leaving this next generation, even beyond your own village, a legacy of what it looks like to be a Black man who transformed from didn't know where Genesis was and couldn't get a janitor job, to a man who has been brilliantly successful, not only in your professional life, but then in the life of your son, to the point where it's trickling down throughout your generations to come. And so thank you so very much for extending that grace and generosity to us tonight. Thank you, aunties, for being here. You're my favorite people. And
I'm so honored and blessed.
I would love for you to come back with your wife. Go ahead.
I'm so honored and blessed just opportunity, just to talk and sit down, like we sit there having a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I told you, it's just like being on the front porch.
Yeah.
And with that, we want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, audience, for being here. You were so quiet tonight. Hopefully next time you'll be much more energized and have questions and comments for us. But it was really great just having you here sitting with us. Thank you, DY, for all you do. And until next time, remember, we are your aunties. You can tell us anything, but there's a way to say everything. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Hey, auntie.